party and why you feel like you need firearm rights.
Okay. A couple of reasons. First off, my wife, she has a business. She breeds dogs. And since we live in the country, probably 7 out of 10 times she has to deliver. And usually it's at a Walmart or a Target or Love's truck stop, something like that. And she cannot have a weapon. She won't have a weapon because of my condition. That's number one. Number two, this is going to be fun. I can't keep the predators out of my chicken coop. I fight possums, skunk, everything. We've got where I live is hardwood, and I say, and we've got problems with coyotes, and we got problems with wild hogs. That's
Okay.
the two reasons.
How many chickens do you have?
Right now, we got less than we started out with. We've got like 25 right now. We had so and I realized what kind of animal killed the
Okay.
chicken.
What kind of animal is that?
Well, this is kind of funny. A fox will go into the cage and kill every chicken you have and leave nothing behind. Take it all with it. A raccoon or a possum will go in and kill one at a time and leave it, just eat the innards and leave it.
More than I need to know. Thank you. Uh, have you been involved in any sort of community service work since 2000? Or tell me what kind of community service work you've been involved in.
Okay, it's in 2015. Our church was doing a program where they had people going into the jail, regular churchmen going back into jail. And I felt the tug for a long time from the Lord, go back into the jail, go back into the exam, how people was happening, how we can make it now. In 2015, till present, I'm still doing it now. I go in twice a month, share Bible studies with the guys, and answer questions.
What facility?
It's at Millard Correctional Institution in Poplarville, Mississippi.
You live in Mississippi now?
Yes, ma'am. Probably 12 miles from the, 12 miles from the.
Right, well, that's all I have to know.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. I don't see any other questions. I think Mrs. Chasson would like to speak. You want to go ahead and
Thank you.
tell us what you'd like us to know?
He can't sue this home anymore. I don't have a problem. But, you know, being said, I met him from his friend. We got together, we've been together since. At the time, he was taking care of his father. He has other siblings, but he was doing, he was at it. And over the years, he has stepped up. A stepdad is someone who steps up to a you. They don't have to. A lot of times, your stepmother don't take on his responsibilities. He has been children, I have to. He stepped up, he stepped into that position, and it's a major role model because of his spots. We have 5 grandchildren, and each one of them will say to you, I want to be my papa. I want to be the man that he is. We have the kids that, an example, my granddaughter, the oldest one is expecting a second child. So the great grandbabies, she made the comment to me the other day, and he knew nothing about it until just recently. She said, Mimi, this is the way I see it. You and Papa have a good marriage, and Papa does the things he's supposed to do. That's the role model I want for my husband to see how you are. The children, my family, no one knows of the things that he did before I did. He told me. So he has played that role model. He's been married 3 children, been for a lot of people are not. I've lost both parents, one to cancer, one who she has dementia, she failed. My mother lived with us. He's the one that told her, move in. He stayed there with us 24/7. He took off work. You don't find that in someone that's not rehabilitated. I see that he has been. He goes into the jail. He comes home on those days that he goes, and he's telling me about the things he's done. He's one of these people that will go out of the way to do for others. It was a storm, I think about 9 years ago, in Mississippi, wiped out William Carey College. Well, at that time, I was friends with down there, and and take no offense, he's my brother. And that's what I call my brother by another mother, and that's what we put. And he is like a brother to both of us now. We can give him our keys to our home and say, here, you watch my campus all the time. But, you know, those things, if he was not reformed, he could do those things. Because it's not a distinguishing factor of this color of race to live in our community. It's everybody across the board. I believe he feels bad for what he did over the years. For that time he did that. He has repetitively told me that at times he would sit down and be emotionally upset on it. I think I want what is wrong. And he said, you know, I really feel bad. I feel so bad what I did. I hope the person forgives me. And he's asking forgiveness me at times. And you know, you don't see that. You really don't. So he is, I think he's went beyond and above and beyond on a lot of things. But as far as the garden life, yes, I want to be able to carry one because a lot of times I am by myself. And when I drop off a dog, I take you from 1,000 feet out. And if I'm by myself, if I don't want to lay up there, most people won't listen. You don't even have to see it anyway. But I refuse to help anyone because I don't want anybody to ever come and say it was his or my piece touched it and it's being so I'm like, and you love it. Only what you have. And then when the warmers get in there, that's another story. But yes, that is something that's living out in the country, that's what you do. So I can't beat it with a baseball bat, if I ain't getting close to it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chasson, is there something you'd like to say to us to wrap it up before we vote?
It's a, I had a lot of time to think about why I gave her a gift. I was raised, I want to say this thing, sitting across the table with my sister, and I said, you know, what caused you to do such? He said, you remember when you were 9 years old? Dad was robbed by a black man in the hospital. He said, remember when you were about 12 years old, Dad was robbed and shot by a black man? Yeah, I do remember that. And then my dad was a racist also. Said, and then we're here and here, and so we grew up with that. Not making excuses, just saying, I just wondered how this ever started. And with that being said, then I realized how wrong it was. It was racism. And I had to unlearn those. It took 40 some odd years, 40 years now. It started while I was in hospital. You know, and then I had to learn the last 40 years, I had to unlearn all of those. And it started with racism.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think we're prepared to vote, and Mrs. Jackson will be voting first.
Ms. Chasson, I was very impressed with your interview today and the comment. I was very impressed with your interview today as well as the comments from your wife. You have done quite well over the last 40 something years. Also, I have had my own battle with the possum. And I know how frustrating that can be, but I used the trap, finally got it, but I think you've done well. So my vote today would be to grant a recommendation to grant a pardon with restoration of firearm rights.
Thank you. Mr. Richmond.
Good morning, Mr. Chasson. I'm having problems with the file. A person that's convicted of a felony involving a firearm, I had problem with giving you the right to own a firearm. You not only uh, use the gun and then you struck the person with the butt of the gun. But I understand that your wife has a business. I understand that you're trying to raise some livestock. You're 66 years old. Please do not make me regret this vote I'm about to be. Because I'm breaking a long time policy of mine. Anybody convicted of a felony with a firearm, I don't want them to have a firearm. But I will make an exception in your case because of your wife's business and your livestock farm. Madam Chairman, my vote is according with the legislation of my own recommendation to the government.
Thank you, Mr. Rochelle. Mr. Mirabal.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Mr. Chesson, like Judge Jackson mentioned, I thoroughly enjoyed your interview. You've been very honest with us. You explained who you were then, who you are now. You've proven that. Your wife has a business. I think it's clear that you need a firearm. At least she does. In order for her to have it, you need to be able to possess a firearm. So my vote likewise would be to recommend to the governor to grant you pardon with restoration of firearms. Good luck to you.
Mr. Freeman.
I was glad to hear you last statement that you come to the realization that what led you up to that. And that was something big of you to get up there and tell us. And I also agree with my cohorts, and I vote to grant you one restoration power.
And I do concur with my colleagues. My vote is the same. So Mr. Chasson will make that recommendation on your behalf to Governor Edwards. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Good day.
God bless.
Have a good day.
Oh, all right, good morning. Ms. Patrick. I can't hear you. I think you're still on mute.
Apologies. Good morning.
Good morning. Would you introduce yourself, ma'am? Tell us your name and your current mailing address, please.
Yes, ma'am. Anitra Fascion, 11528 Costco Park Place, Clinton, Maryland, 20735.
Can we get her, we're trying to get her, okay, we're just trying to adjust our screen setting. So Ms. Patrick, my name is Cheryl Renance. I'm serving as chairman this morning. You're here today seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms. You were sentenced in a Boyles Parish in May 2001 for a simple battery conviction. You received a 1-year unsupervised misdemeanor probation sentence. Is that information correct, ma'am?
That is accurate.
Your case this morning, Ms. Patrick, has been assigned to Mr. Marabella, seated to my immediate right. I'll turn it over to him. Would you answer his questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Is it Ms. Fascion or is it still Fascion Patrick?
Fascion is fine.
Okay. Ms. Fascion, my name is Tony Marabella. Your case was assigned to me, so I'm just going to ask you a few questions today, okay? How long have you been,
Yes, sir.
where did you say you were living now?
Maryland,
Okay, how long have you been in Maryland?
going on 13 years.
Were you born and raised in the Boyles Parish?
No, sir.
And what were you doing in the Boyles Parish back in 2000?
Celebrating Mother's Day and graduation.
Okay. Where were you living then?
Roads, Louisiana.
I'm sorry, where?
New Roads, Louisiana.
New Roads. Okay. Tell me a little bit, Ms. Patrick, I believe you're 44 years old now, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were roughly 22 at the time this happened?
21.
21. Tell me exactly what happened and what relationship the victim was to you at this time, because I'm a little confused. Your statement seems to suggest she was just a neighbor that you had known, but the report seemed to suggest she was your stepmother. So I'm not exactly sure what that relationship was. So tell me a little bit about that relationship and then what happened in 2000 at the casino.
Yes, sir. She's my stepmother. She's not a neighbor. She's actually my stepmother.
Okay.
And during the time back then, we had an issue based on my father not attending my college graduation, being his first child to graduate from college. And when I asked what was going on, basically it was nonchalant. There was some confusion. I learned later that my brother and my father had words, and that's why he did not want to cause any issues at my graduation in case my brother would have came and then he would have came. And so I approached her and asked questions, and we went into a altercation ourselves. And it was not something that was wise at the time, trying to be a grown up and not even understanding the situation at hand. And since then we've bonded, we've done everything. And confided in each other, built a relationship more like a mother and daughter as we should have early on. And since then, it's just been great.
Well, good. That was going to be my next line of questioning. What's the relationship now between you and her? And it seems to be pretty good. Is that correct?
Correct. Actually, so she's my biggest supporter for this because it was her recommendation that I seek to get protection, especially because I'm a female and I'm living, far away from home. I don't have protection here, and side business, and so she felt it was necessary for me to pursue the opportunity to get some type of protection.
Well, that's terrific. I'm glad the two of you have reconciled from that issue that y'all had. Have you been arrested or charged with anything since that date?
No, sir.
traffic tickets, speeding tickets, anything like that?
I, I don't think so. I don't
Nothing
believe
of any significance that you recall.
that I recall. No, sir. Nothing. You said that would require a sentence?
No. I said nothing that you can recall right now.
No, sir. Not that I can think of right now. And I apologize if there's something that I may have missed, but nothing that I can think
I'm
of.
just asking. Now, it's
Yes,
my
nothing
understanding
that
that the year this happened, that's the year you graduated from Southern, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And since then, you've got the master's degree and the doctor's degree. Is that correct?
Two masters and one doctorate.
Okay. And tell me what kind of work you're doing now. You work for the government, I believe. Explain to me what kind of work you're doing for the government.
So I'm a contracting officer. So I write, I have a warrant, which is a dollar threshold for in which contracts can be authorized and obligate the government to entering into contracts on behalf of the government as with a industry, meaning a business. So basically I go through and solicit for any type of professional services, supplies, equipment, pretty much anything that the government needs. And then I go through evaluation procedures with a team. And then thereafter, I award the contract based on the best value and best interest of the government. So a lot of moving parts within that. So I'm giving it to you at a very high level.
And you've worked with the government for at least the last 10 years, is that correct?
Well over 10 years, yes, sir.
Over 10 years. Tell me why you feel you need firearm protection or want to possess a firearm.
So my primary reason for actually getting this is in order to be granted advanced opportunities within my career for higher security clearances. So that's the primary. Secondarily, as recommended by my supporter, was to obtain a protection, particularly when hosting like events in late evenings and nights for my own protection with my professional side business.
And you are currently married, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I think that's all the questions I have, Madam Chairman.
Ms. Patrick, you mentioned your side business. What is your side business?
Government Source Builders is assisting industry to be able to do business with the government. That includes like training, management, consulting services, identifying resources, suitability and available for contracting opportunities. So I do technical and proposal writing, business registration, marketing, getting them certified in order to be ready to do business with the government.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't see any other questions by my colleagues. Is there a statement you'd like to make to the board before we vote?
Well, I hope to have given you the rationale and justification in order to grant me the pardon, and look forward to continue being a very constituent and contribution to society, and making you guys very happy to be able to state that I am one of the individuals that was granted and that you have seen a positive outcome from it.
All right, well, thank you. I think we are prepared to vote, and Mr. Marabella will be voting first.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ms. Facione Patrick, it's been a pleasure talking with you. You've done a tremendous amount of work. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished, your education, your work history. I'm very pleased to hear that you and your stepmother have a good relationship. Sometimes, families who love each other get in fights sometimes. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's just emotional. I'm glad that y'all have reconciled. Sorry that this happened back then, but it did. My vote today would be to grant your pardon with full restoration of firearms. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur, and I vote to grant a pardon with full restoration.
Thank you, sir.
You've done very well, so my vote is lifelong.
Mr. Roche.
Mr. Young Patrick, you've done very well, as Ms. Bell said, education-wise and employment-wise. And you have a pleasant period of over 20 years. My vote is to recommend to the governor and partner with the restoration of firearms.
Thank you, sir.
And I do concur with my colleagues. My vote is also the same. So on your behalf, we'll make the recommendation of Governor Edwards for a pardon with restoration of firearms. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Y'all have a great rest of the day.
All right, good morning, Mr. Free.
Good morning.
Here you are. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your current mailing address, please, sir.
My name is Sean Free. My current mailing address is 501 Terra Avenue in Alexandria, Louisiana,
And your zip?
71303.
Thank you. Mr. Free, you're here before the pardon board this morning. You're seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms. You were sentenced in May 2012 in Rapides Parish for a simple burglary conviction. You received a 3 years probation sentence. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Mr. Free, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman, seated to my far right. Would you answer his questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Free. How old are you currently?
I'm 35. I'll be 36 in November.
Okay. You were arrested for simple burglary. It seems that you took a laptop at a youth camp.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they didn't arrest you till a year later?
Correct.
Okay, but you still had the laptop and you returned it, correct?
I had actually sold it, and the people, I told them who I sold it to so they could get it back.
Okay, okay. Did you have any trouble during your supervision?
No, sir, none.
Okay. Is this the only arrest you've ever had? I didn't see any others on your rap sheet.
No, sir, I've never been arrested or anything like that, other than this incident.
Any speeding tickets, DWIs, anything like that?
No, sir.
What is your work history? What are you doing now?
Right now, I work for medical technology, where I deliver medical equipment, oxygen, hospital beds, wheelchairs, walkers, and things of that matter.
Okay. I see that you reached out to the victim and y'all talked since this occurred.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's totally unopposed to you getting this pardon today. I don't know if you know that or not, but he sent in a letter and everything. You got some very good affidavits from several people. I have no further questions for Mr. Free.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. I don't see any other questions. Mr. Free, is there a statement you'd like to make to us before we reach a decision?
The only thing I have to say is, I made a lapse of judgment when I was younger that affected my life and, put an asterisk on it. And I would, like to not be a statistic anymore and, go back my life at living freely.
Your record was expunged in 2016?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman will be voting first.
Okay, Mr. Free, I think you've done excellent since your period of supervision. Good cleansing period, no problems. My vote is to grant your pardon with full restoration.
Thank you. Mrs. Jackson?
Ms. Free, I agree with my colleague, and my vote likewise is to recommend granting with firearm rights.
Mr. Roche?
Madam Chairman, I agree with my colleagues. Mr. Freeman has done very well. My vote is to recommend to the governor a pardon with the restoration of firearms.
And Mr. Marabella?
My vote would be likewise, Madam Chairman, vote to recommend a grant of a pardon with full restoration of firearms.
And Mr. Free, I do concur with my colleagues. My vote is the same. So on your behalf, we'll make the recommendation to Governor Edwards for a pardon with full restoration of firearms. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You as well. Bye-bye.
All right, good morning. Pardon Board is reconvening. We're at Dixon Correctional Institute on Monday, October 17th, 2022. Time is 9:21 a.m. Good morning, Warden Bickham.
Good morning. How y'all today?
For the record, sir, introduce yourself.
Dusty Bickham, Warden at DCI.
Down Cavalier classification.
Destiny Joe, Administrative Coordinator.
And that's it.
Okay, thank you. And we have Mr. Ellis in front of us. Good morning.
Good morning.
You introduce yourself. Tell us your name and your DOC number.
My name is Randy Ellis, 117553.
Better known as Country.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Country, you're here today seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in Claiborne Parish for armed robbery and then second-degree murder. You were sentenced in 1995 for the second-degree murder. You received a life sentence. Your case this morning, Country, has been assigned to Mr. Roche, seated to my immediate left. He has a presentation and he'll have some questions for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Warden Bickham.
Good morning. How you doing, Mr. O'Shea?
Fine.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good morning, Mr. Ellis.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm fine. Mr. Ellis, I have a presentation and I have some questions. Please relax. Just gonna have a conversation between two people. The most important thing this morning is that I need a truthful interview with you. I need you to tell us exactly what happened. Answer my questions truthfully and you'll be okay, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, fellow board members, we have Randy Country Ellis, POC number 117553. Randy is here this morning seeking a recommendation for a commutation of sentence for a 1995 conviction for second-degree murder in a stabbing death of his cousin, Donnie Manning. Mr. Ellis also lists a 1987 armed robbery conviction in his clemency application. But that 15-year sentence was completed sometime in 2001 or 2002. This proceeding today only will take into consideration a recommendation for a commutation of sentence for the life sentence for second-degree murder. Am I correct, Mr. Ellis?
Yes, sir. You correct. Yes, sir.
Because that armed robbery conviction, when you were revoked in 1995, that sentence was to run consecutive with your life sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
This is Mr. Ellis's second request for clemency. His first request for clemency was for the armed robbery charge back in 1992. And evidently, he got a positive result from that because the original sentence was 15 years without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension in sentence. But through that hearing, he received a parole eligibility and was paroled on April 28, 1994. And he was on departmental good time release. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yes, sir.
And then only a few months later, on July 30th, 1994, Mr. Ellis was arrested and charged with second-degree murder of his cousin, Donnie Manning. On May 12, 1995, Ellis was convicted as charged and sentenced to life and hard labor at DOC without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension in sentence. The court also ordered that the remainder of his 15-year sentence for armed robbery be served, which added up to 6 years, 10 months, and 13 days. The court also ordered that the life sentence run consecutive to the remainder of his armed robbery conviction. Mr. Ellis is currently 57 years old and has been incarcerated for approximately 29 years, but only 21 years of that sentence has been served for the second-degree murder conviction in 1995. Mr. Ellis is a third felony offender with an extensive criminal history, a history of violent offenses, 8 adult arrests between 1983 and 1994. 7 of these arrests were for violent offenses. He has a very poor supervision history. He was revoked in 1985 in Texas on a 1983 conviction. He was revoked in 1987 when he got the armed robbery conviction. And he was revoked in 1995 when he was convicted of a second-degree murder. He's been incarcerated since his arrest in 1994. As a matter of fact, Mr. Ellis has been incarcerated most of his life on a continuous basis since 1983. Is that pretty accurate, Mr. Ellis?
Yes, sir, that is. Yes, sir.
As I stated before, he only served about 21 years on his life sentence. Mr. Ellis, tell us exactly what happened in July of 1994 between you and your cousin, Johnny Manning.
Well, I was going up to my stepdad's house and he was opening the door to let me in his house. And my cousin came up and hit me. And I turned around and seen it was him. And I said, Donnie, what you hit me for? And he went to talking and wanting to fight and stuff. And I said, go ahead on, leave him alone. But he kept on the fight. I said, man, I need to do something to make him leave him alone. So I went and got a knife and I come back to scan. And we ended up getting into it and I ended up stabbing.
Did you have an argument the day before?
No, sir, just we've been together every day. We be together every day. And that was the first night we ever got into it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Was your cousin Clinton?
Sir?
Was your cousin Clinton in the room when you stabbed your cousin died?
That was my brother. He was out there, yes, sir.
Okay, Clinton was the one that took the knife away from him.
Yes, sir. That was Clinton Ellis Jr. That was my brother.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So basically, you got into an argument, you went got a knife and you stabbed him.
Yes, sir.
Opposition in this case comes from the judge in the second JDC, the district attorney in the second JDC, and the Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office is opposed to this clemency request. The offender's family is unopposed. And Ms. Nancy James, who happens to be the sister of the victim and a cousin to Brandy Ellis, has sent us a letter representing herself and her 2 sisters, and she stated that she and her 2 sisters are unopposed to clemency for Mr. Ellis. He has a low risk assessment, a moderate needs assessment. He's housed in minimum custody. You're housed in minimum custody, Mr. Ellis. Tell us what you do on a daily basis. What is your job assignment at Dixon Correctional Center?
Well, I'm a yard, like most of yard outlet, clean yard, take care of the garden and flowers and stuff like that. Yes, sir.
Do you work for any specific person or at any specific area of the facility?
Yes, sir. Right now, I work for Chief Operation, Chief Seth Smith.
Okay? So basically, you keep the area around here.
Run his house clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has a good institutional record, but he has no GED. He's completed the literacy program in 2014. And congratulations on completing that literacy program.
Yes, sir.
The application you stated, because of medical reasons, you never enrolled in the GED program. Tell us why.
Well, I did enroll in the GED for 3 years, but I never could get my GED.
You did it?
I went to night school for 3 years, yes, sir.
Okay. And which level did you finish out at?
I don't know what level it was. I went for 3 years, and I was on some blood pressure medicine. I kept falling asleep in class at night, and they ended up kicking me out. Then I went on a hospital trip, and I could never get my GED because it was really scratched out to my head. Used to hurt all the time, and I used to always fall asleep.
Did you get a chance to get any vocational training or gain any vocational skills?
No, sir.
Mr. Ellis has completed 1 or 2 programs. He's completed Getting Motivated to Change, Nurturing Parent, and he enrolled in anger management in June of this year. Mr. Ellis, why did you wait so long to enroll in good time classes? Because all of your good time classes you finished this year. There are no good time classes prior to 2022. Why did you wait so long to enroll in good time classes?
Well, when I wait, I had put in for them, and when you got a live center, you can't get in them so quick with a live centers. I had put in for them, tried to get in them. Yes, sir.
I see if you're successful today, I see a couple of things that you must take in an interim before you're eligible for parole. You need 100 hours pre-release, you need victim awareness, you need to take some type of substance abuse. However, could I understand that you have a substance abuse issue? And I would think, thank you for a change. And maybe Malachi Dad, you need to start getting enrolled in classes like that. So if you are successful today, you will be ready for a future parole hearing. Bickham, would you agree with me on that?
Absolutely, and that's already, I have that part of my plan. He's been enrolling in the classes, and he was accurate in stating with life sentence, it is difficult sometimes to get in these programs, but I have intervened and everything he's been requesting and trying to get in, we've been getting him into, and he's enrolling in a bunch more too.
Great. You are a Pride member. How long have you been a Pride member?
I've been a Pride member now for, I think, a little over a couple of years. 2 or 3 years, yes, sir.
In the application, you stated that you are disabled. What is the source for your claiming disability?
Well, I'm on dialysis.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How many times a week do you go through dialysis?
I go to dialysis 3 times a week.
Okay. And do you have any other medical issues?
No, sir. That's all I have. Mostly that's daily high blood pressure. That's it. So,
Well,
Uh, your disciplinary record is not bad. You have a total of 15 disciplinary write-ups in 28 or 29 years of incarceration. Your last two write-ups on August 3rd, 2017, a number one for contraband. What was the contraband?
what year that was, sir?
17.
17. I think it was 17. It was alcohol.
Okay. What kind of alcohol?
It was some homemade.
Homemade wine or bourbon?
It was like beer.
A home brew, okay.
Home brew, yes, sir.
And that the reason you got the intoxication the same day?
Yes, sir.
So you got a contraband and a intoxication because you partake in some home brew.
Yes, sir.
And that was about 5 years ago. Have you had any disciplinary issues since that?
No, sir.
In 1 second, Mr. Ellis. You have letters of support from your three sisters, from your victim's three sisters, written by Miss Nancy James. And you also have a letter from Pastor Carol Wayne Haynes, who is in support of clemency. Mr. Ellis, tell this panel why we should recommend a commutation of sentence to a number of years to give you parole eligibility. Why do you think we should do that? You have a terrible supervision history. You have an extensive criminal background, a lack of rehabilitative programs, and we explain why in the legal community in Claiborne Parish is opposed to any clemency. And lastly, you've only served about 21 years on a second-degree murder conviction. Why should we vote to commute your sentence to a number of years so you can have parole eligibility?
Well, I'm sorry and remark for my crime, and I was, still very young, but I done got a lot older, and I'm sorry for killing my cousin. I think about him every day, and I just regret done. It's something that shouldn't have never happened, and if I know I can't take it back, but if I could, I would, and I'm just sorry for it happened. And I'm remorse for it.
Mr. Ellis, you're very lucky. You're very lucky. Your three cousins, the sisters of the victim, Donnie Matthew, has explicitly instructed me to, they have forgiven you, and they are in favor of you commuting your sentence. You're very, very lucky to have a family support when the victim of the crime you committed was a member of your family. Warden Bickham, do you have any comments, remarks, observations at this time?
Yes, sir, I do. Good morning, board. I tell you, I've known Country a while, and as Mr. Nancy called him Country, that's what we know him as, and he's always been extremely respectful. He is a trustee and pride member, but also he, working where he works, he had a chance to be around my family as well, and has always been very respectful, and I have no issues with that at all. He's been good to us. I will say that he's been very good to us. As far as his classes go, he has nurturing and parenting, anger management, getting motivated to change, and literacy, like you said. He is currently enrolled in Living in Balance and pre-release, and he participates in AA as well. And I am going to be getting him into the Malachi Dad program and as soon as he can handle some of these other classes and get through those. Medically speaking, he is on dialysis 3 times, but he's got extensive history. Sometimes he has a little trouble communicating. I want to make sure he knows he has chronic anemia, cervical root neuropathy, avascular necrosis of the hip, end-stage renal disease requiring his dialysis. He also has a history of deep vein thrombosis and a history of metastatic prostate cancer, which was treated in 2018. So he does see several physicians for orthopedics, vascular, hematology, oncology, podiatry, and anyway. So I wanted to make sure he didn't really express that one well enough, I don't believe, but in general, like I said, he stays out of trouble. He had that blip in 17, but he really he does a great job within prison here, and I'm proud of how he's done. And that's it.
Thank you, Warden Bickham.
Thank you.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to tell you that you interviewed very well. You were very honest, and you answered all my questions, and I do appreciate that.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Madam Chairman, that completes my interview. I do have a recommendation, and I will share it with my fellow board members at the conclusion of this interview.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. Mr. Freeman has a question.
Okay, Ms. Dallas, I wasn't here at the very beginning. I walked in a little late, but you've actually served 28 total years. It's just 21 on the robbery, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
On the murder. On the murder, yeah. All right, thank you.
I have a question. Mr. Jackson. All right. Fellas,
Man,
if you are successful at some point, tell me how you're going to take care of yourself. How are you going to support yourself? Who are you going to live with? Where are you going to live?
I'm gonna go live with my sister and her boyfriend, and I guess I have to get a check from disability. They help me, one of the two. Yes, man. Then I do little odd jobs here and there.
You think you're able to do some work?
Yes, ma'am. I still be able to do some work. Yes, ma'am. Somebody give me a job, I'll be able to do it. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let me ask you a question. I was really glad to hear Warden Bickham say you're enrolled in Living in Balance.
Yes, ma'am.
I was disappointed to see the 2017 hiccup where you found the home brew and you partook of it. Tell me this, when this happened between you and your cousin, have either one of you been drinking that day?
Yes, ma'am. Me and my cousin have been drinking late on that evening because I had went to work in Puckwood. And when I got off of work, we went in what we call hanging out in the trail. And we had got drunk in the trail together. And like then I went over to my brother's house in the country. And I came back home to Haynesville. And that was me and my cousin met up at again.
So, have you been to any Living in Balance? Well, the warden says you participate in some in AA meetings. Tell me what you learned about yourself.
Well, I learned about, drinking is not good for you. It's when you drink, it's caused you to change a lot. And it's just no good, it makes you do things you regret for the rest of your life. Like what I'm in up for now. I learned that, it's just not good. I just try to be a better person, and I started going to church a lot more and getting closer to God.
I'm glad to hear that. I see, well, this is the note I made, Country. I say you do really good. When you get out, you do really good for about 3 months. Yes. And then you you get in trouble again. It happened to you a couple times.
Yes,
So
sir.
what's different about Country Ellis today that's going to make you successful?
Well, lot different now, you know, I'm a lot more old and, got a lot more wiles, you know, and I think now more quicker than I did back then when I was younger. And I just put more thoughts into what I do. Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to say to us to wrap it up before we vote?
Well, only thing I want to say, I thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to come before y'all and, you know, and hear me out, you know. And I appreciate it.
All right, I think we're ready to vote. We're going to start with Mr. Roche.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes, sir.
I will be very honest with you. You have a terrible supervision history. You have a history of violence. You have a history of your third felony offender. And I know you served 28, 29 years, and only 21 on the second degree murder charge. But you've done very well. You have an excellent employment history. Thanks to Warden Bickham, you've started taking programs. And you completed anger management, getting motivated to make change. You're in living in balance. And some other classes that he's going to put you in. Because of the positive remarks by Warden Bickham. Excellent employment history. And I think you deserve another chance.
Sure.
Because your record indicates that you don't deserve, but I think you do. So I'm going to make a recommendation that we can move your sentence to 99 years with parole eligibility after serving 30 years.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Marabella?
Mr. Ellis, I've listened to your interview. Likewise, I'm very impressed with the remarks of the warden, the things that you've done, the fact that realize that the victim's family is your family. But by the same token, they have no opposition and they support your release. You've done a lot of very good things, and you're in some excellent programs. You've served 29 years, regardless of whether it's been for the armed robbery or for the murder. You've been in prison this time for roughly 29 years. My vote today, grant, recommend a commutation to 99 years with immediate ability, and would encourage to complete the programs that the warden has helped you get into and the ones that he's going to get you into, more particularly substance abuse, to make sure you've got a good transition plan for your sobriety. That's my vote, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I also vote to grant commutation of sentence and commute it to 9 years with immediate parole eligibility.
Mrs. Jackson? All right, Mr. Ellis, you have done well in prison. Had a rough start, but you've done well. So you have a good institutional record. Warren Bickham had some really good things to say about you. And the victim's family is also your family on the powers. So my vote would be you to 99 years, immediate parole eligibility.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. All right, country, had a good interview today. I do my colleagues, my vote today would be to recommend the commutation to 99 years with immediate parole.
Well,
So that's the recommendation to make on your behalf.
yeah, man,
Right.
appreciate it. Thank y'all a lot.
All right, Warden Bickham, thanks for accommodating us today.
Thank y'all. Y'all have,
We'll adjourn. It's 9:52.
y'all have a great day.
All right.
Thank y'all. Country.
Yes, sir.
Well.
Thanks, sir.
All right, good morning. The pardon board is reconvening. We're at Hunt Correctional Center. I'd like to ask the staff at Hunt to please introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning, Warden Donnie Barlow. Joe Buttress, Assistant Warden.
Got everybody in there? All the staff? I failed to mention today is Monday, October 17, 2022. The time is 9:57 a.m. And we have before us Mr. Coleman. Good morning, Mr. Coleman.
Mom,
Sir, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number.
my name is Lee Coleman, 280462.
Okay, Mr. Coleman, you're here before the pardon board this morning. You're seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in Lafourche Parish for in October 1997 for second-degree murder. You received a life sentence. Is that information correct, Mr. Coleman?
Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I wanted just to acknowledge the folks that we have who have joined us today, who have an interest in your case. We have your niece, Miss Amanda Tompkins, who's joined us by Zoom, I think. Cody Pierce, here in opposition, Deborah Pierce, Patty Luke, Heather Cortez, Jennifer Richard from the DA's office is also joined us by Zoom. At the appropriate time, we'll call on those who have indicated they'd like to speak. Are you having trouble hearing me, Mr. Coleman?
No, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay, your case this morning has been assigned to Mrs. Bonnie Jackson, seated to my far left. Would you answer her questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Coleman. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am.
Good. Your case has been assigned to me, so I'll start the questioning for the board. How old are you, Mr. Coleman?
62.
And how much time have you actually served on this sentence?
25 years.
So you were how old when you committed this crime?
37, ma'am.
You're a second offender, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a prior conviction for a drug offense,
Yes, ma'am.
distribution of cocaine, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You sold cocaine to an undercover individual and you
Yes,
were
ma'am.
arrested. How long had you been involved in selling drugs?
Not that long, ma'am.
Oh, how long?
Maybe a year or so.
How did you get involved in drug selling?
I was a user at first, and then I went to rehab around 94. So, I stopped using and I stopped dealing drugs.
Why did you start dealing? If you had a drug problem and you went to rehab, why would you start selling it to other people?
I had basically stopped before then. When I came out of rehab, I wasn't selling no more.
How far did you go in school, Mr. Coleman?
10th grade, completed 10th grade, ma'am.
Why did you stop going to school?
Because I started working, I had filled a year and I had a child on the way and I started working to take care of my son.
What kind of work have you done? What kind of work were you doing back then?
I was working on a farm, ma'am, doing farm work.
And how long did you do that?
Since I was about 17 until I was in my 30s.
Well, let's talk about the murder case.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us what happened in this case.
Mr. Ford and I had a struggle over the gun and he got killed,
Well, let's back up. Let's back up.
Say back up.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead. How did you even come into contact with Mr. Foray that day?
I was walking on the side of the road and he stopped and picked me up. I knew him already. We had been friends. He had gave me a job at the sporting goods store. But one of the employees over there didn't want me to work there. So I knew him in the past already.
Or had you been fired by Mr. Foray?
No, ma'am.
So who had a gun?
Mr. Foray had a gun.
And how would you and Mr. Foray get into a struggle over the gun if you all were friends and he was giving you a ride? How would, why was there a struggle at all? What happened, Mr. Coleman?
It was a misunderstanding. We had words about something.
What, Mr. Foray, Mr. Coleman, what did you have words about?
Something had happened between
What?
Mr. Foray and I concerning the lady.
And so what happened?
Yes, ma'am. So Mr. Foray picked me up that morning and he threatened to do me something. And so he had the gun on me and we were struggling over the gun.
And so your claim is that you shot him in a struggle over the gun while you were in the truck, is that correct?
Ma'am, could you run that back?
I said, according to what you just said, you and Mr. Foray were in the truck struggling over the gun.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, we were not in the truck.
Well, how did you get out of the truck?
Mr. Foray had me on the side of the road, on side of the truck. I was on my knees on the side of the truck, outside the truck.
Or had you, I thought you said he picked you up and you got in the truck.
Yes, he did, ma'am. I did.
So how
I
did
got
you
in the truck. I got in the truck. What's she say? I got in the truck, ma'am. Mr. Foray drove around, I don't know what they call the road, but then he drove another place. And Mr. Foray had the gun on me and he told me to get out. And I got out and I was down on my knees. And
Why were you down on your knees?
Because Mr. Foray had the gun on me, ma'am. And through all that, the area where we was, it was a railroad track, and the track is high. And you cannot see over the track, but it's a highway across the track. And Mr. Foray heard the cars pass on the highway. When he looked up to see what was coming, that's when I grabbed the gun and we struggled over there by the highway. I think it's Highway 307 now.
So how did he get shot?
During the struggle, while we were struggling over the gun. I never had shot a gun before in my life, man. That was the first time, by me being 37, I never had shot a gun. That was the first time I ever had my hands on a gun. I'm not a gun owner.
How many times was he shot?
I can't really remember, but I know 2 for sure, ma'am.
He took his truck?
Ma'am?
Took his truck.
I drove away somewhere and I left it and I went on by my business.
What about gun? What'd you do with the gun?
I threw the gun away, but I went back and got it and gave it to the sheriff office. Because it was his gun, man.
What about his wallet? His wallet was missing.
Well, I didn't have no wallet. All that was in a bag or something. I just had threw all that away.
How did the wallet get in the bag?
Ma'am, it was his bag. I don't know. I didn't put nothing in the bag.
So why did you take the bag and throw it away?
I don't know. I just, I was scared and I just didn't know what to do, man. I was more afraid than anything, man.
So let's talk about what you've been doing over the last 25 years. What's your job at the prison?
I'm a kitchen worker, man.
And how long have you been a kitchen worker?
About 5 years.
How many write-ups have you had?
I don't know how many in total, but I don't think I had none in the last 5 years, man.
In 2017, you had one for fighting. Tell us about the one in 2017 for fighting.
Yes, ma'am. It was an offender, another offender came over to the dorm where I live, and he had word, and he said same crazy thing to the female officer working the dorm, and I confronted him and told him, don't disrespect her like that, and he left, and the next day, when I seen him, he hit me with a lot. And that was the fight about. Because I told him, no, don't disrespect that lady like that.
And you both got written up or just you?
Both of us got written up, but apparently he got a Rule 11 because he hit me with a weapon.
What kind of programs have you taken, Mr. Coleman?
I've taken substance abuse, and I'm part of the Lifers Association, and I do CPR and all,
Do you have a GED?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Have you attempted to get a GED?
Yes, ma'am. When I tried to get in school, they told me at first they wasn't taking lifers in school. But then when I came back, I gave her my name, gave the coordinator my name and thing, and she never did get back with me. But I've been I had took up a training course on how to identify suicidal behavior between people.
That's part of the Tier Walker training, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And
tell me about substance abuse treatment. That was back in 2000. That was over 20 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what that training was about and what did you get out of it?
I got out of it that drugs or any kind of substance abuse is alter your thinking and it's not good for you. I know that much.
You haven't taken Living in Balance?
Oh, no, ma'am, but I will.
mean, why haven't you taken it?
because
I'm looking at your program history, Mr. Coleman, and you haven't taken a whole lot of programs over the last 25 years. I see that you did Chair Walker training and looks like you might have done it twice. You did the Angola chemical dependency treatment in 2000. You did CPR in 1998. I do know that, and then you've done a few faith-based programs, but you haven't really done any programs that would address some of the core issues that you have. Have you taken victim awareness?
no, ma'am.
Have you taken thinking for a change?
No, ma'am.
Well, tell me why you haven't been more motivated to take some programs that can help you as an individual.
Well, really, my work schedule, I work every 5 days a week. You know,
So you chose work over the program, basically is what you're telling me.
I have to work, ma'am.
What does that mean?
That's what my job, assigned job requires, 5 days a week.
How long do you work each day? How long do you work?
I go to work at 3 in the morning, ma'am.
What
And I
time?
get off about 2 in the afternoon.
So there's no time after 2 o'clock where you can take some programs?
If I do, I wouldn't be able to make it to work the next day.
All right. Now, you know, you've got a lot of opposition,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Coleman. You've got opposition from law enforcement, the DA, the sheriff's office, the victim, 2 of the victim's daughters. And so one of the victim's grandsons. So that you've got a lot of opposition.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think your crime has done to the lives of Mr. Foray's family?
I know my crime have hurt the family, and it also hurted me as well. You know?
We're not interested in hurting you. You did that to yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
But what you did to the family, you know, that was, they had no control over that. So
Yes.
you can't equate what happened to you to what you've done to this family. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Warren, what can you tell us about Mr. Coleman?
He's been doing well here. He works. He's no problem at all. I do agree with you, and him and I spoke earlier. He does need some more programming. You know, he has a long time where he didn't have any programming because he was working. But he can get into programming. He can get into victim awareness, anger management, whatever he wants to get into. But I think he definitely could benefit from a little more programming.
Mr. Coleman, there was a time period where you were having some contact with one of the victim's daughters, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was unauthorized contact, is that correct?
No, ma'am. I have.
I know about that card, I know about that you're writing, talking about, but as far as prison rules are concerned, the warden stopped the contact because it was unauthorized. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were actually asking the victim to put money on your book. Did you ever do that?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Ever ask the victim for boots or do anything, put money on your books or anything like that?
The victim agreed to buy me a suit of clothes for her to come visit me. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mrs. Renata, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Jackson. For the record, Mr. Freeman has questions.
Mr. Coleman, I see, in the arrest report, during the course of the investigation, and I'm not gonna mention her name, reported to detectives that Mr. Lee Coleman had been approached several times to kill John Foray. Had you been approached to kill him? Had y'all had an ongoing feud going on?
No, sir. They claimed that Mr. Foray paid me money to kill him. That's where that come from. They claimed that he had paid me money to kill him.
That him himself had paid you money to kill him?
Yes, sir. That's what this claim.
Did you go to trial or did you?
I went to trial, sir. I went to trial.
Okay, no further.
For the record, Mr. Coleman, we have a letter of opposition from State Representative Brian Fontenot in the letter, strong opposition. We also have a letter of strong opposition from the sheriff in your parish. At this time, we'll hear from the folks who've indicated they want to speak. First, we'll hear from your niece, Amanda Tompkins. Tompkins, do you want to speak on his behalf? She's not speaking? It says not speaking. Okay, well, just for the record, we'll note that you're here in support. From the opposition, we'll hear from Ms. Mary Martin, who's here with us. You can, sure.
Today I'm saying for it. Commonly requesting Lee Coleman be denied clemency for the horrific act of Joseph Warren on January 16, 1977. He stood near an open cane field and he made a choice to take another human's life. Shooting him not once, but twice. While the victim lay helpless, he steals his wallet and his knee, continuing to violate it. That person, victim, was my father. He's a grandfather to my children. I ask you, if 25 years is enough for a family that lost their father, husband, son, brother, and grandparent, can you even imagine this being your family member? Would you be able to turn the other cheek and allow this criminal to walk away and possibly commit the same crime again? Can you lay your head on a pillow tonight, knowing that you let this man go free? When statistics show that most people who get released only do the same crime again. Too often we hear stories that inmates set free, serving years to just add to their statistics, implicating their crime. As this decision was made by a jury of his peers, Lee Coleman was sentenced to life without no opportunity of parole. I'm here today to advocate not only for myself as a victim, but all victims. Please make the right decision by leaving this hardened criminal behind bars for the remaining years of his life. He was a nuisance to our society. He knew pulling that legal trigger that day was a crime. There's no denying that fact. I attended his hearing every day. I gave the testimony in front of him. I wanted him to see my pain and the pain that he inflicted on my family. He never batted an eye. There was no remorse in his face, no sympathy, and no apology to the family. Not once did he react to autopsy photos that he was subjected to look at. We listened to the ballistics experts testifying on the angle at which bullets entered the body, hitting the vital organs. Instead, he sat there, straight-faced and callous. Lee Coleman contacted me for years on a regular basis, calling our family business collect, sending letters, asking for money on his account, praying with the victim's family. This is a violation of my rights. I've sent proof to you guys to see. The letters have come all the way till 2019, and it still says annually. Until I was talked to by a caseworker that finally put a stop to that. He even in one of the letters sent, say, put his mother's name and address on the envelope because I wasn't supposed to be writing to him. And he obviously was aware of that, so that's why he asked me to use that tactic. He continues to send these cards annually to my home. So he may sit behind bars thinking we have forgiven him for his crime, but forgiveness is not an option. As a victim's daughter, I live the effects of this trauma daily. My children were robbed of the person their mother was meant to be. After dealing with years of anxiety, major depression, insomnia, PTSD, and feeling the need to always be on high alert, always feeling the need to be overprotective of my children and against grandchildren, due to this horrendous crime. I thought counseling to ease these symptoms, so only having the rise skin from this hearing. The simple fact that he is possessing clemency has brought back so many of the same symptoms. The thoughts are often debilitating. The ripple effect that the robbing passes in order that they will be forever felt. The trajectory of our lives is forever changed. When we want to connect with my dad, we have made complete visits to the cemetery to stare at a cold piece of marble with his name etched in. Lee Coleman is manipulative in his statements written in all his letters stating that he has found God. When he is found as living in prison is far from his family, too far for him to travel. Words that he has said to me in those letters. At least they have an option to see them. What choice they make is their own to carry if they don't go. Lee Coleman is obviously intelligent enough to understand how to request clemency. Therefore, he's intelligent enough to know on January 16, 1977, that murdering someone was illegal and punishable to the highest level. Who were violently robbed of our father.
Ms. Martin, can you wrap it up for us?
I'm almost done.
Okay, thank you.
After the trial, we had a stark sensation of relief that this man could not hurt anyone else. Again, yet the realization of Dad's death still remained the same. Him being sentenced to life without the chance of parole, life being the key word, he was able to keep his life. Let it continue to be behind bars Those words were a false sense of security in hindsight of where we are today. In closing, we ask you to leave this one criminal where you belong, in prison. Thank you for letting me talk to you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, we hear from Cody Pierce.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Releasing a criminal based on good behavior showing society you can commit a crime, be sentenced, punished, and still have freedom in the end. Good behavior means a crime wasn't committed to begin with. Understand that people can make bad decisions and want to be different, but taking someone's life should mean justice system takes their freedom. In 1997, our grandfather's life was taken from him, which in turn meant he was taken from us. I was going on 2 years old. My sister was 12 years old at the time of his death. Our mother went from a normal role of being a mom, wife, and employee to complete chaos that this tragedy caused our family. The effects of this murder to our mother are beyond explanation. Our grandfather was well known in our area, being a successful businessman, and everyone knew about his death. There was constant talk and thoughts throughout our town that this wasn't something that could have been kept from us. The only closure our family received was Lee Coleman being sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. I repeat, no chance of parole. Meaning our family knew we would never run into Lee Coleman in a grocery store or restaurant, for example. Releasing him would bring back so many fears to our mother and family. We finally got our mother back after years and years of therapy, coping with tragedies in our life. And now she's dealing with this hearing to possibly release a man who took a family member and created so many unknowns to our family. This is not right. Our family should not have to be concerned about a murderer getting out just because he may change during the time served. We don't get years back that we missed out, so why should he?
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Heather Cortez, we hear from you.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. So this is just unheard of in my opinion, but I wanted to mention that my grandpa was probably one of the nicest men you would know, and that he would help anyone. He would give someone a job, just as Mr. Coleman stated. He needed help, my grandpa would help him. And as that happened, he ends up dying because of it. And the only thing that I can relate this to, and I'm sure everyone has heard so many different reasons and excuses on why they should not be let out, but Mr. Coleman has been in a prison atmosphere and has not been in the real world. I can relate this to a simple show that most people might know of, which is like The Biggest Loser. These people end up losing all this weight. They get out and they go into the real world and they gain their weight back because they're not in there. And that's how I relate this. We don't know what he has actually learned. And it is not fair to our family because our grandfather does not get to come back just because he served 25 years. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. And we have Ms. Richard from the DA's office.
Thank you. Good morning. I just wanted to voice for the record our opposition to Mr. Coleman's parole. In listening to his recitation of the incident, I find it to be disjointed and not, it doesn't make sense. He circles around and goes back and forth and says he was picked up, but then was held on his knees. And I just don't find that is a coherent or really truthful version of what happened. I also think that in asking why he has not done the programming or why he got into a fight in jail, there are always another reason, or the blame is placed on someone else other than his own decisions as to why these things aren't done. He doesn't do programming because he has to work, and he can't do it in his free time because then he won't be able to go to work the next day. It's never that he just didn't take the initiative to do it, or that it is his own personal choices. And I feel like that's the same thing in taking responsibility for the death that he caused in this case. And my strongest opposition is for the victims in this case. They have dealt with trauma and tragedy in their life. And I think that a commutation of his sentence or a recommendation for pardon just puts undue stress that they do not deserve in this case. This sentence was a life sentence. He served 25 years. I just don't think that, and let me go back and say that he's also, it's been recommended that he do more programming. I don't think that, we don't know where he would go if he goes back to the same community that the victims live in. They then live in constant fear of running into him, of seeing him somewhere. And I just don't think that that is fair to them or appropriate in this case. So I would ask that his request be denied.
Thank you. We appreciate the input from the DA's office. Mr. Coleman, is there a statement you'd like to make to us before we vote?
No, ma'am, but I would like to state that I had told Ms. Pierce before that I was sorry for what had happened, but that's all I could say. I can't take it back because it's dead. And like I said then, when I met her, I'm still sorry, you know.
All right, thank you. We are prepared to vote. Mrs. Jackson will be voting first.
Mr. Coleman, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Coleman, I'm very concerned about you for a number of reasons. First, I don't think you have been honest with the board about what happened in this case. You haven't done anything really to improve yourself. You've not taken very many programs at all. But for me, the most troubling thing was the letter that you sent to Mary, and she provided a copy of that letter that you wrote to her. And there are just a couple of things I want to point out that you said in the letter. She said, one of the things that you told her is that a family member was trying to stay in touch with you, with her, so that she would stay in touch with you. Mary, I am really catching hell in here. You killed her father, and you are worried about you catching hell in here. And then you go on and talk about those boots. Besides her, it seems like the rest of my family has forgotten about me. I really don't know how much more I can take. Hopefully God have mercy on me and take away all the hurt and pain that I am going through. Again, you have killed this woman's father, and you're talking about the hurt and pain that you're going through. And then, Mary, I know you sent me the last workbook. I have to wear them every day, and that concrete takes a toll on the soft rubber soles. They are worn down bad now. At Easterly, they have some work boots. They are Colorado. The regular price is $69.99, but they're on sale for $29.95. in them only, I wear a size 13 and you ask her to get you 2 pairs. I mean, who does that? You have killed this woman's father. You're talking about how much you're suffering. And then you're trying to get her to send stuff to you. That shows that you don't know anything about the victim and what you put them through. You only think about yourself, Mr. Coleman. And I don't think I've ever seen anything that's so manipulative in my life. You try to make this woman feel sorry for you after you killed her father. And I think that's really a bad thing, Mr. Coleman. We have a letter from her therapist who says that this is really affecting her life, and the thought of your being released would cause even more harm to her. Because, Mr. Coleman, your total lack of remorse and understanding of the crime that you committed, the strong opposition from the legal community and the community at large, and because you haven't done anything, Mr. Coleman, to try to improve yourself, you've not taken any program that would benefit you in any way. My vote today is to deny your request for commutation. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Rushing.
Mr. Coleman, I voiced the same sentiments as Mrs. Jackson. There's no need for me to go over everything she said, but you need to start working on your rehabilitation. You have done nothing towards rehabilitating yourself. All you've done is serve time. And you'll be serving time until you start working on yourself. My vote is to deny your request.
Thank you, Mr. Rushing. Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Coleman, my sentiments are exactly the same as Judge Jackson and Mr. Roche. My vote today is to deny your recommendation. I would strongly urge you to take some programs to really understand the pain and suffering you caused. Until you do that, you're not going to get favorable votes out of this panel, at least not for me. So good luck to you.
Mr. Freeman.
I concur with all my fellow board members. There's no use to rehab what they've said. And my vote is to deny.
All right, Mr. Coleman, you've received 4 votes to deny your application for clemency. So today your application's been denied, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Knight.
Warden Bordelon, I think that concludes our business at your facility. It's 10:40. We'll stand adjourned. Thanks for accommodating us today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, so what are y'all thoughts? What are y'all opinions, child, on that on this just past case? Um, it was deep. That went so many ways, in my opinion. I thought that they were gonna read the letter. I was waiting on the letter to be read because I wanted to know like what was that conversation about. But please like, share, and subscribe to the video, to the channel. If this is the type of content that you like on Mondays, this is Mystery Monday. So thank you guys for tuning in to Mystery Mondays. We are waiting for our next case, which is J.C. Cochran. And I want to shout out Chloe Mendez. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. She says, thank you for covering news, Queen. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving me a reason. Okay. Yes, honey. All right, so we're just waiting on our next inmate to come up um on the stand. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Please like, share, and subscribe. We have 5 likes. Oh, and we need a charger, girl, before we go out. So give us one moment and we'll be right back. Okay. Sonya says, child, what is going on? Sonya, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions, girl? Until JC come up. We can get into it. We can talk about it. We can talk about it, girl, until JC come on up in here. We can talk about it, honey. I really feel like he should have been in like programs. But like I don't know. I don't know. It's like, were those programs available? And did he really make the effort? I mean, he got a job and everything. And it's like, okay, you gotta work, but okay, work is always gonna be there. My thing is work on yourself and work on where you went wrong and how you can change, you know, what's been going on in your life and what's been going on. Just, like with that situation, like process it. I mean, you have to realize the system don't work for you. So when they give you the opportunity to make yourself better, do it while you're in there. And I actually have someone that I'll be bringing on soon. What? Who this? Oh, child. Hold on, let me see. What's your... Okay, there we go. So as we wait on JC Cochran to come up, I'm going to... I was going to look for a message. Okay, I was going to look for a message. Yes, I was. Okay, here we go. Let me see if he's available to talk. Oh, bitch. Hold on, let me hang up. Good morning. I hope all is well. Okay, so we are waiting for JC Cochran to come on up. Come on down. It's giving. Come on down. Yes. All right, here we go.
All right.
Good morning. The pardon board is reconvening. We're at Louisiana State Penitentiary, Monday, October 17th, 2022. It's 10:47 a.m. I'd like to ask the staff at the penitentiary to please introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning, Warden Rochelle Ambo.
Reginald Admiral, classification.
Carmen Shipley, offender record.
All right, and we have before us, is this Mr. Cochran?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Sir, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number.
J.C. Cochran, 100673.
All right, Mr. Cochran, we are, you're here before the pardon board seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in East Baton Rouge Parish, May of 1982, to a life sentence for a first-degree murder conviction. You are, let me just acknowledge the folks who we have, some of your family here in the room. We have Ms. Dorotha Huff and Ms. Mamie Walker. Ms. Huff will be speaking on your behalf. At the appropriate time, we'll ask her to do so. Your case has been assigned this morning to Mr. Roche, seated to my left. He has a presentation and we'll have some questions for you. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Cochran.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good. And good morning, Warden Ambo.
Good morning.
Madam Chairman, fellow board members, we have before us this morning J.C. Cochran, DOC number 100673. J.C. is here this morning seeking a recommendation for a commutation of sentence for a 1982 conviction of first-degree murder in the shooting of his stepdaughter, Willie Ann Cochran. Willie Ann was 18 years old at the time. He was originally arrested and charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder. The 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder was an attempt on his wife, his mother-in-law, and a former sister-in-law. And I will tell you exactly how that happened a little bit later. On May 12, 1982, a jury of his peers returned a verdict as charged of first-degree murder. And 9 days later, on May 21st, 1982, the judge sentenced him to life and hard labor at DOC without benefit of probation, parole, or suspension in sentence. The 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder was not addressed by the East Baton Rouge Parish DA's office. To explain a little further, first he aimed the gun at his wife, she ducked, and then he shot Willie Ann in the chest. After that, he tried to fire on his wife through the rear glass, shattered the glass. His wife fell to the ground and played dead. Then he turned his gun on his mother-in-law, who was running towards the house on Cambridge Street. And then he fired at his former sister-in-law, who was running north on Cambridge Street. All 3 bullets missed, and he was only prosecuted for the first-degree murder charge. Mr. Cochran is currently 75 years old. At the time of this offense, he was 34 years of age. In December of this year, he would have been incarcerated 41 years. This is Mr. Cochran's fourth request for clemency. The other three requests were July 1992, December 1993, and February of 1996. The last request was 26 years ago. Mr. Cochran, do you remember the results of those three previous requests? Were all those requests denied?
It was a insufficient time service.
A little history quiz, Mr. Cochran. You're 75 years old. You were born on July 4th, 1947. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you remember the first presidential election that you were able to vote in?
I don't understand.
Okay. Do you remember registering to vote in 1968 when you were 21 years old?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you remember who was running for president?
In 68?
Yeah. Okay, you don't. Okay, do you remember what happened November 22nd, 1963? John Kennedy was president. What happened on November 22nd, 1963?
In 63, he was assassinated.
Okay. And do you remember who took his place as president of the United States? He was from Texas.
John F. Kennedy.
Well, John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Do you remember his vice president?
Yes, sir.
Was his name Johnson?
Lyndon B. Johnson. Yes, sir.
Johnson, exactly right. Okay, and last question. 1976, who was elected president? He was from Georgia, and he owned a peanut farm in Georgia.
John.
Jimmy?
Jimmy Carter.
Okay, so you do have a good memory. So, Mr. Cochran, I've read the police report from 1981. I've read your confession to murdering your stepdaughter. I've heard your confession saying that you had a sexual relationship with both of your stepdaughters. You admitted to fathering at least one of Willie Mae's sons and possibly both of her sons. I read the statement also that you gave the parole officer in October of 2021, only a year ago. That story was completely different from the story that you confessed to in 1981. So, and I'll tell you some of the differences. Eyewitnesses said that you, after you shot your stepdaughter, Willie Ann, you fired at your wife, your mother-in-law, and your former sister-in-law. But in your statement last year, you said that after you shot Willie Ann, you shot 3 times in the air.
Right. that is the same statement. I say it in the voice, the beginning, and that would always say it, and that is the truth.
Okay, now you admitted to having a sexual relationship with both of your stepdaughters. And in your statement in 1981, you said your wife knew about it. She agreed to it because you threatened to leave her if she didn't agree to it.
I don't remember. I remember saying nothing like that. That's not so.
Okay. Now, tell me about the sexual relationship you had between yourself and your two stepdaughters.
Would you mind repeating the question, please, sir?
Did you admit in both statements that you had sexual relationships with both of your stepdaughters?
Oh, yeah. I agree.
And then you were jealous of Willie Ann because she had taken a job with Sam's clothing store on Plank Road in Baton Rouge because you've heard rumors that the owner of the store had sexual relationships with young ladies that worked for him. Is that true?
Oh, that's true, yes, sir.
And you made a statement when you found out that you took the job. If she would take the job, you would kill all of them.
I say that. Oh, yes, sir.
So this was not something that was done on the spur of the moment. You just took the opportunity when you went over to your mother-in-law home to bring her to work and bring Lily Ann to work. You took this opportunity to execute your threat of killing them all.
Would you mind repeat that, sir?
This was a planned shooting because you had made a threat. If she would take the job, you would kill them all.
Oh, yes, sir.
And who's all? Who were you talking about? When you say I will kill them all, who were you talking about?
There wasn't no all.
Okay. So basically, how many children did you father by your stepdaughter?
One.
Opposition in this case comes from the East Baton Rouge Parish legal community, the judge in the 1910 DC, the district attorney's office in the 1910 DC, the sheriff's office, and the chief of police all oppose any clemency in this case. The offender's family is unopposed, as well as the victim family, because basically it's one big family. The victim and the offender's family is the same family. Am I correct? the victim family is your family, am I right?
The victim family.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question, Mr. Cochran, and I don't know if you remember. The victim, Willie Ann Cochran, has your last name. When you married her mother, did you formally adopt her daughter?
And her son.
And her son.
Yeah.
So you formally adopted 2 daughters and her son.
One daughter and one son.
1 daughter and 1 son. Okay. Now, and I have to ask this because it's on my mind. Why would you have sexual relationship with a daughter when she was at the age of 15 and 16 years old?
I have no explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. Mr. Cochran had 5 adult arrests on his record and nothing serious until this offense. Only very minor misdemeanor offenses on his record until this offense he committed in a act of jealousy because that daughter was going to work for a same clothing store and he was afraid that he would entice her to have a sexual relationship. Mr. Cochran has a low risk assessment. He has a low needs assessment. He's housed in minimum custody. He has a good institutional record. He's earned a GED in 1989. He completed prison survival classes in 1989. He has paralegal classes in 1987. He's completed 100 hours pre-release, anger management, thinking for a change, victim awareness, and victim accountability letter. He's also, I don't know whether or not he's still a member, but he was a member of the prison gospel band. Tell us about the prison gospel band and what instrument did you play?
Keyboard and sometimes the bass guitar.
Okay. Are you still a member?
I'm not all that good.
Okay.
Okay. The band split it a long time ago.
Okay. Warden Ambrose, tell us what the Mailbox Club is.
I have no idea. That's a new one to all of us.
He said he was a member of the Mailbox Club.
What's the Mailbox Club, JC? You know what the Mailbox Club is?
I know.
You don't? Because that's a new one to all of us.
I never heard of it.
It's on, Warden Ambrose, I think it's on his most current progress report. And he's also completed many faith-based programs. He has a good transitional plan with his sister in Baton Rouge, Miss Aretha Huff, and Miss Huff is today, and she will be speaking. And Mr. Cochran, you have an employment plan. You're going to be working with, let's see, you'll be working with Mitchell House Painting and Drywall in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh.
Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Are you still able to with the paintbrush and nail up drywall?
Yes, sir. The job I supposed to get when if I get out of Angola. But why I was here, I did worked it on the car for the crew, and I did all that.
Well, that's pretty good at the age of 75. Okay. Your disciplinary record is excellent. You have a total of 10 disciplinary write-ups and 41 years of incarceration. The last disciplinary write-up for Mr. Cochran was August 19, 1994, some 28 years ago. Is that correct?
Correct.
You have letters of support from your sister, Ms. Mamie Lee Walker, and Ms. Aretha Huff, and both are here today in support of your clemency. I have no letters in opposition to the clemency. Ward Ambo, do you have any comments, remarks, or observations at this time?
Sir, everything that you say is to be truthful. I can't find anything on the mailbox club, on anything that I'm looking at, even his progress note. Other than that, JC has been a model inmate here at Louisiana State Penitentiary.
Thank you, Ward Ambo. Madam Chairman, I do have a recommendation in this case, and I will share with my fellow board members at the conclusion of this interview.
Mr. Royce, I'd like to hear from Ms. Huff. So if you step up to the podium, please. And just introduce yourself and tell us your relationship to Mr. Cochran.
My name is Barbara Huff, and he's my brother. You see.
Go ahead, what would you like us to know?
I'm sorry, I didn't receive it.
What would you like us to know about him?
Oh, well, my brother died, another brother here, and come on with it. He will be living with me if you come on. He will be living with me. Now, I hadn't seen him in a long time. He wasn't raised up together. But we got together, I was married, and we went to Florida, living with me and my husband in New Orleans. And we got real close. And we left New Orleans and we moved to Detroit. We still stayed out here in New Orleans. But since Katrina and I've been out here in Baton Rouge, and I've been going to Angola to see him and whatever. And we got very close with each other. And then we got to learn more and more about each other as time because we went brought up together. And I was raised with someone else. He was raised by his father, our father. And I was raised with someone else, so we were just separated, But I already knew like him, but I didn't know face. But I knew of it, but I did meet him when I was about 16 years old. Around 12 or 13. I did meet him, I remember my sister one summer. He done back in the But I just really wanted him to get out to come home to live with me because I do want to be close to him again. Well, we, encourage each other, get home to talk to each other, especially our age. And he's about him being 75, I'm 72. And I think we just need, we need this time together. I would love for him to be at home with me.
you know, like, I'm missing it. The rodeo be going on, I'd be glad, I get to see it at churches. We laugh and talk and everything, you know. Everything be glad, you know, it's not a whole lot, I know. You know, just the time that we together, and at the time that he was living with me, we got along very well. And that's when I moved in to come and live with me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We appreciate hearing from you this morning. Mr. Cochran, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote? Anything you want to say?
Sing a song?
No. Is there something you want to tell us before we vote?
I appreciate all you from having me here today. And I am very, very sorry about the crime I committed. I blame no one but myself. And I'm very sorry for the crime I committed. And I thank you all. May God bless all y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Roche will be voting first.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Cochran, based on the positive remarks from Warden Ambo, who called you a model offender, excellent disciplinary conduct, no disciplinary write-up in the last 28 years, completed all basic good time programs, good family support, good institutional record, a good transition plan, length of incarceration, and the age of the offender. My recommendation is to recommend to the governor a commutation of sentence to 50 years with immediate parole eligibility.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Mirabella?
Mr. Cochran, you've done a lot of good things while you've been in prison. You've had good comments from the warden. There is no opposition to your release. In listening to your interview, I'm going to go along with what Mr. Roche had recommended. My vote is going to be a commutation to 50 years with immediate parole.
Mr. Mirabella, Mr. Fragrant.
Mr. Cochran, due to your age and no victim opposition, I also go along with my colleagues and both commute your sentence 50 years with immediate parole eligibility.
Mrs. Jackson, I concur for the same reason. All right, Mr. Cochran, you've received 4 votes that your sentence be commuted to 50 years and that you be immediately parole eligible. So we will make that recommendation to the governor on your behalf. Good luck to you, sir.
You understand what she said?
You understand, Mr. Jackson? They'll explain it to you. It was good. It's a favorable vote. They'll explain it to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Renata. So you have been
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So as you have saw, that case was, oh my God, it took us for so many turns. I thought that this was against someone else, but it turns out that it was against the victim's family, and his stepdaughters, two stepdaughters. Next on the docket, we have Joseph Jr. Gray coming up. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel as we have four more inmates lined up. We have Joseph Jr. Gray coming up next. But what are your thoughts? What are your opinions on the last inmate? And he was granted parole. They went ahead and gave him 50 years and, took it there. So it seems like we have somebody on the stream. So let's go ahead and let the courts take over. And actually, I can give you guys commentary until court is back in session. So we have inmates that are coming up for parole, and some have been granted and some have been denied. And so now we're just waiting for our next inmates to be walked into court, into a space where now their fate relies in the hand of the board members. You know, they of course have their files, and they are going to speak behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. They're reviewing the case, they're reviewing the files. Okay, this is what we have coming up. You know, someone, it's kind of like good cop, bad cop type of situations. And they are getting into the mental of the inmates and really seeing what is your thinking process. These are going to be off the wall questions. They haven't got a script, okay, these are the questions, this is what to study. But as they come into court, we just have to, you're innocent until proven guilty. Now these people have been committed of the crimes and they are serving their time. And so now the question is, do they get out or do they not? Do they get released for immediate parole or do they not? And that's the question. One of the cases where I believe his name was Mr. Coleman, he had his niece on the court hearing, and that was about, him, he had unalived this man, and the grandchildren were there, and he didn't have enough education or he wasn't in programs working to be better, so he was denied. So hopefully Joseph, comes in and he's got at least some programs, accomplished. When they go in, you're in for this amount of years. The board members are saying, okay, well, what were you doing with your time? What did you learn? How are you going to be better for society? Those are the questions. Oh, yeah, those are the questions that the board members are asking. How are you going to, when you come back into society, how are you going to be better? What can you offer society? Will you be an upstanding citizen in society? Do you plan on owning your own business? Do you plan on going to work for someone? Do you have that lined up? Have you gotten therapy? Have you gotten, what have you been doing? Let's see how many times you made it to recreation. Let's see how many times you were written up, if you were. So there are a lot of angles that the board member panels are definitely coming from. They're coming from different angles. These people have no clue. And, the wardens are there. So, if you're on bad behavior and if you're not really doing the right thing, you want to reevaluate yourself and really get yourself in check before it's time for you to come before the board. Because those wardens, if there are write-ups and things, they have to address that. Oh, absolutely. They will definitely, excuse me, have to address that. But so far, it's been interesting. Like, these cases are really all right. We're back in session.
Good morning. Mr. Gray, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
My name is Joseph Gray. My DOC is 72486.
Mr. Gray, you're here this afternoon seeking a commutation of your sentence. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. It's kind of foggy a little bit. I can hear you.
Okay. You're seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced initially, let's see, you have 1989 in Iberville Parish. You received a life sentence as
Yes,
a
ma'am.
habitual offender for armed robbery. You have another sentence date in Jefferson Parish in 1993 for armed robbery. You received a 15-year sentence on that one. Is that information correct, Mr. Gray?
I think it is. Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's see, we have joining us today, your sister, Ms. Gloria Gray, is trying to join in by Zoom. We have your uncle Tawana Baker, Lashane is your friend, Bryant Gray, James Lathan, and Alton Gray, all who are joining us in support today. We'll call on those who want to speak on your behalf at the appropriate time. Your case this morning, Mr. Gray, has been assigned to Mrs. Bonnie Jackson to my far left. Would you answer her question?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Gray. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mr. Gray, I will be asking some questions. I'll start the questioning for the board. How old are you, Mr. Gray?
I'm 83.
All right, and how much time have you actually served on this sentence?
About 83 years, I think it is. Or 82 or 83.
Oh, you haven't served 82 or 83 years. How much time have you actually been in jail?
Oh, since I've been in jail?
Yes.
Oh, okay. 30, what it is?
34, does that sound right?
I got busted in 1988, and I've been incarceration ever since 88.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's talk about your crimes, Mr. Gray. You were committing a whole lot of armed robberies of finance and loan companies.
Yes.
You had 26 counts of armed robbery, and you ended up pleading guilty to 10 counts in 1962. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Okay, and you got a 30-year sentence for those 10 counts of armed robbery. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much time did you serve on that 30-year sentence? Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am. I served, to make parole, I served 14 years and 6 months.
Okay. And then in 1971, got arrested again for 3 counts of armed robbery and 1 count of aggravated rape and 1 count of aggravated crime against nature. You went to trial. You were found guilty of 3 counts of armed robbery and of simple rape. Remember that?
I remember that, but the sample rape, they asked me to plead guilty to it since I was already gonna be coming to the institution. I didn't commit the rape, but they asked me to play ball with them since they was playing ball with me, and I went on and cop out to it.
So you didn't go, well, you didn't go to trial on the rape?
No, ma'am, I didn't go to trial. The same day they give me time on the armed robbery charge, I pled guilty to the rape charge.
What about the 3 counts of armed robbery? You went to trial on that?
Yes, ma'am, that's what I'm saying. I went to trial on that.
Stop talking.
Okay.
You went to trial on 3 counts of armed robbery and you got found guilty of the 3 counts of armed robbery. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Say at that time they reduced the ag rape to simple rape and you pled guilty. Is that how you remember it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you got another 30-year sentence. Is that correct?
I thought they had given me 20 years, but yes, ma'am. If they got 30 on that, that's what they give me.
And you got released on April the 25th, 1986 on a good time release. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then in 1988, you committed the robberies that you are in jail for now. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Mr. Gray, could you explain to the board why you just continually committed all of these armed robberies?
Well, yes, ma'am. I think I can explain.
Okay.
I like to work, and every job I had, it don't never, carry me through. Long as I would be wanting to work, they always would play out. That mean I would have to go and try to find me some work somewhere else to keep everything going. I had a girlfriend who had a kid for me, and I was trying to, support them as far as supporting myself. And I couldn't do that without not having a job. And things started turning bad for me, and I turned back to doing what I knew best, committing crime. But I never hurt anybody, and I was robbing with a toy pistol. I didn't have no real gun. So the people that busted me in Jefferson Parish, I once seen Iberville Parish, they would show the gun that I had was a toy gun. But
Mr. Gray.
Yes, ma'am.
You got 2 separate 30-year sentences for armed robbery. You served 2 30-year sentences, and yet you get out and you go back to exactly the same thing. You're still robbing people. In your application, you said that you were committing these robberies to support a drug habit.
No,
Today,
ma'am.
this is what you wrote when you applied for clemency. You said that you committed these to support a drug habit. Those are your words. So
Yeah.
why did you put that in your application?
Yeah. At that time, that's what it was. That's what it was, ma'am. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Well, what kind of drugs were you using, Mr. Gray?
Oh, I started off messing with heroin, and then I left the heroin alone, and I started snorting cocaine. Then I left everything alone.
Well, How old were you when you started?
Ma'am,
How old were you when you started?
when that was going on, I was about in my late 20s, about 28, 29, or early 30s. It's been a long time.
You telling me you didn't start? The feedback.
We're getting the feedback from your devices and you're getting an echo.
You gotta lower the volume down.
So you didn't start using drugs till you were almost 30?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. That was because, Miss,
Okay.
I could keep talking. That was because I was doing things that I would normally do. I was following people that I was socializing with. And a lot of things I wasn't doing, that really wasn't me, because I was a different person from some of those guys that I was mangling with. And I just was doing things to be a part of the in crowd. That's the best way I could say it, ma'am. I'm not no drug addict. Since I've been in this institution, I ain't never messed with no drugs. I did it out there for a little while, but just following the crowd.
Not the drugs, it's not the drugs I'm so much worried about, it's the robbing.
Well, well, one time, could I say this, yeah, please?
Yeah.
I committed a robbery because my girl was in family week and I had no job. My job had played out on me. And her mama was an alcoholic and her mama wasn't doing nothing for us. So I had to do something. I had no job. So she had to go backwards and forward to the doctor. So I had to do something to help her. And the only thing I knew was, to take a chance, going, pull a robbery. And that's how I helped her. And I'm sorry for that, but I still got busted and I'm in the institution for it.
All right, let's talk about what you've done over the last 33 or 34 years. All right, do you have a GED?
Did I have a GED? No,
Did you
ma'am.
get-
No, ma'am. I never get the GED. They had me on backlog here in Angola for it, but I never got it.
How far did you go to school when you were out?
I went to I finished the 8th grade and I started the 9th grade. I never finished it.
What happened?
Oh, I dropped out of school. My mom passed and I had to leave from St. John the Baptist Parish, and I had to go all the way to Lafourche Parish where my daddy was and start all over again. So my daddy, he was a guy that did a lot of junk work and take people to Ben Harbor, Michigan, and I started doing the same thing with him and dropped out of school.
Do you have a job at the prison?
Yes, ma'am, I have a job.
Your job?
I work in recreation, teaching some of the young guys how to play sports, things like that. And
How long have you worked in recreation?
Ma'am?
How long have you had that job?
Since 97, since June 97.
And what exactly do you teach?
Where do I teach?
What?
I try to teach them how to play sports.
What kind of-
Baseball, ma'am,
What kind of sports?
baseball, basketball, things like that. What we do here in the institution. Yes,
So at
ma'am.
80
Football,
At 82, you can still play basketball?
I don't play. I teach them how to play.
Okay.
But I can play a little bit, I'm still in good shape. I could move around pretty good. Yes,
You
ma'am.
look like you're in good shape.
Yes, ma'am. I can move a little bit, but
I see that you've taken 100 hours of pre-release, you've done Cage Your Rage, and you've done Living in Balance 1 and 2. Do you have any other programs that I haven't talked about or listed?
any other program?
Besides 100 hours, Cage Your Rage, Living in Balance.
No, ma'am, them the only three.
Okay, and you took Cage Your Rage and Living in Balance in 2021, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Why haven't you taken more programs than that?
Because every time I put in for it, they would put me on the backlog list, and they always tell me that they have other guys ahead of me. I have to wait my turn, but my turn seemed like it never came up. Look how long it took me after I took the 100 hours to get the other two programs that I took. It took a long time.
Okay. You've had 16 write-ups. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
The last one was in 1994.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that. What happened?
I was outside. It happened on a Wednesday. I was outside practicing the softball team at the outer camp, which is Camp C. And one of the guys that play on the team he had just got off from work from the kitchen, and he came out to the diamond where we was practicing, and he told me, "Hey, coach, come here. I need to tell you something right quick." So I told the dude, I said, "Give me 5 minutes." So I went to see what he wanted to tell me. And he told me, he said, "Man, you better go to the dormitory. Dudes in the dormitory, they're messing around your box." You know, I said, "Why are they doing that?" He said, "Man, I don't know." He said, "That's that little dude, Champ, him and his little partner." So I go to the dormitory, and sure enough, this dude had looked something like a screwdriver, and he had already popped the lock off of my locker box. And he was taking my clothes and my cosmetics out my box. And I ran over there where he was. I said, "Man, look, put that back, man. That's my stuff. What you doing?" You know? And he looked like he was kind of, full of something. And he wasn't talking right. You know, I said, "Come on, man, put my stuff back in my locker box." You know? And one word led to another, me and him start fighting. And I knocked that thing out his hand that he had. And I tried to jug him with it, but I couldn't jug him with it. The people came over there, some of the other guys came over there, and they pulled me off and broke us up from fighting.
The report said you stabbed him with a pen, an ink pen.
That's what it was. I arrested and got the ink pen off the floor and hit him. But I hit him in the leg.
That was the last, did you have one in 1998? You had one in 94. Did you have one in 1998?
98? A fight?
A write-up for anything.
Oh, not that I can recall. In 98.
All right.
No. 94. I had a this what I think of you talking about, ma'am. I had a disciplinary write-up. Mr. Jake had told him to lock me up because they had said something about me. I'm trying to figure out what it was, ma'am. I think that was in 99 or 90 something. But anyway, they kept me in administration lockdown on it. Looked like about 12 or 13 days. Then they cut me loose, told me to go back to my living quarter. They ain't hold nothing on me. And Mr. Jake seen me the next day after I got out of administration lockdown and told me that he was sorry for putting me in administration lockdown. I said, "Oh, well, what had happened, Mr. Jake? Why y'all locked me up? What did I do? Y'all had never told me why y'all had locked me up, He said, "Don't even worry about it. We thought we had you bad. We had you bad. It was a misunderstanding." Ran on with that.
Okay, all right. All right. Let me talk to the staff. One, can you tell us anything about Mr. Gray?
Yes, ma'am. He's a gym orderly. He worked in the gym. He was afforded the GED in 2005, July 21st of 2005, he enrolled in the literacy class. And he voluntarily dropped from the literacy class in September 23rd of 2005.
Yeah,
So he voluntarily did not get his GED. Everything else is truthful what you said about his disciplinary history and stuff, and the classes he took.
Okay, Mr. Gray,
yes, ma'am.
why'd you drop out of the class?
Well, looked like it, I just couldn't get it together. I was asking other guys how, I just felt like I wasn't educated enough to take it, to be, on that level, and I just didn't go through with it. Being honest with you, I didn't go through with it.
Mr. Gray,
Yes, ma'am.
answer this for me. You're 82 years old, but looks like you're in really good shape.
Yes, ma'am.
Someone 2
Yes,
years old.
Yes, ma'am.
You had 2 prior stints of 30-year sentences. Obviously, you didn't serve the whole 30 years, but kept getting out and doing the same thing.
Yeah, but
How can I be sure that if you got another chance, you're not going to do the same thing that you have done all of your life?
yeah, you're right. Can I answer? Can I talk now?
So that's what I want you to do.
Yes, ma'am. If the board give me the opportunity to be free again, he would never see me in no institution, no jailhouse, or never hear my name again as doing something wrong. I am a completely changed person. If I would have been able, when the police bust me on this charge, if they would have given me at least a week after they had bust me and turned me loose, you would have never heard nothing from me. Because I know I hadn't made a bad mistake. And I ain't gonna make no more bad mistake in my life. My daughter done grown up, and she grown up without me. I lost my dad, I lost my mama and my stepmama. And look where I'm at. I'm in the institute. I didn't even go home. I didn't want to be with my other sisters and brothers at the funeral, coming home out of the institution with handcuffs and yellow jumpsuit on at the funeral. I told them I wasn't coming. Y'all have to respect what I'm saying. I ain't coming. I don't want to come out there looking like this show. I don't want to come to my dad's funeral looking like I'm looking with all this stuff on, all this iron on. Let me stay in the institution where I'm at. Let me finish doing my time, and I'm gonna try to come out and be a better person. And I know I could be a better person now. I've been here all these years. A lot of guys that told me, said, man, what you going on a pardon bus? Man, I ain't going on a pardon bus. I ain't ready to go on a pardon bus. I'm gonna stay here until I feel like I'm ready to go on that pardon boat. When I get ready to go on a pardon boat, I'm gonna go on a pardon boat. Well, my boss man here, Mr. I can't call Coach real name, but Coach, they got me down as a gym ollie, but I'm really a rec ollie. I've been a rec ollie ever since '97. But they got my name now. The man wouldn't change it. Coach will tell you that right now. If you call the gym down there and ask where I work, he'll tell you I work for him. I never work in gym ollie, cleaning the gym. I work for recreation. That's why I go around putting up nets, cleaning the baseball diamond, keep the backstop and things like that. That's my job. That's what I be doing down the walk. Learning those little guys that's come want to learn how to play baseball, or want to learn how to play soccer, want to learn how to play any kind of sport, I go out there with them. I devote my time with them. Long as they want to go out there on the yard and try to learn something, I go out there with them to help them much as I can. And my coach, I hollered at him this morning when he passed through going on the job. He'll tell you the same thing where I work. I don't work Jim Orley. I ain't never been a Jim Orley, but that's how they got me down on the paperwork. The guy who put my name on the thing when they give me the job, he put.
I understand about that. I know you don't clean the gym. You have more responsibilities in that. So you think you're ready?
Yes,
now?
ma'am. I know I'm ready. Yes, ma'am. If the board give me another chance, you'll never see me again. You'll never hear my name doing nothing wrong. I swear, I know I done changed. I have changed. I just got to prove it. Give me a chance to prove it. I know I can prove it. I ain't the same person I was these 30 some years ago. I know I'm not. I done lost people that's close to me. My sister is doing real bad. I want to be there with her. I wasn't even out there when my daughter was born. So if the board give me another chance, I swear to God, you'll never hear nothing about Joseph Gray Jr. no more in life. Believe that. I really do. I'm telling you the God truth. I knew I didn't change.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gray. You were not to the time.
Thank you. Mr. Gray, why you said you when the guys tell you you need to go before the board and you said you wasn't ready. What makes you ready now?
Because all the time I spent here and the things I done did, I took a course. I don't think y'all got it on record. Human relations, public speaking, and that course really, incited me. It just took advantage of my mind and looked like everything else. You heard me? And I really liked that course. And that course showed me a lot of things that I really need to know, And I'm more than sure, if I could get.
When did you take that course?
I took that course around 91 or 92.
See. So you want to sell cracklings if you get out of jail? That's what you're gonna do? Sell cracklings?
Sell cracklings, that's what I want to do, yes, ma'am. I cook them good and guys really like the way I fix them. Yes, ma'am. I want to cook all cracklings. Yes, ma'am.
Cook them for a club right now?
Ma'am?
You cook for a club now? Cracklings. Now?
What do you
You cook now. You cook cracklings now.
I can. I have help across over here, right over here. I'd help you in the back there, Woodrow a couple of times. Yeah.
By the radio station?
Ma'am?
Behind the radio station? Well, it used to be on the radio.
Oh, yeah, I go to the rodeo, but I ain't never cook at the rodeo. I ain't cooked yet. I was at this past rodeo. And what I was doing, I was serving shrimp and fish fillet, shrimp sandwich and fish sandwich. But another guy was doing the cooking, but I was putting everything up on the plate.
So listen, we're gonna hear from. Let's see. We're gonna hear from Miss Mays, who's here,
Yes.
wants to speak on behalf.
Ms. May?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Felicia Mays, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Joseph Gray. I know that Joe has had a lapse in judgment when he was convicted of his crimes. And I think that his time in prison, along with the participation in several programs, have provided him with the opportunity to rehabilitate himself. And since his time in prison, he has shown and he has expressed his remorse for the crimes that he has been convicted of. During his times, he has completed several programs, and he's currently employed at the Angola State Penitentiary. And I believe that if you, the members of the board, grant him the opportunity to be released from prison, I plan to provide him with housing, financial support, employment, transportation, emotional support, and just help him to adapt to life outside of the prison walls. Joseph has paid his debt to society and he has been rehabilitated. I do believe that if granted the opportunity to be released from prison, he will utilize his remaining years to become a productive and successful member of society.
All right, well, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your input. Thanks for speaking.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Gray, is there anything else you would like to say to us before we vote?
Will you repeat that, please?
Is there anything you want to say to us before we vote?
No more than that. I want to let y'all down if y'all would grant me a time cut. I would make sure nothing would go wrong as far as me getting in trouble again. I ain't gonna never do nothing to this. I won't do nothing again to make nobody feel bad about me doing another crime.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think we are prepared to vote. Mrs. Jackson will be voting first.
All right, Mr. Gray?
Yes.
I, Joseph. Gray, I've enjoyed talking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, your past history has been pretty rough. But hopefully over the last 34 years have changed.
Yes, ma'am.
You're 82 years old, served
ma'am.
4 years. You know, this isn't a situation where we're dealing with homicide, took someone's life, although Bob is still a traumatic thing, victim. But given your age, the amount of time you serve, the fact that you have a good disciplinary record and you have a low risk assessment, my vote would be to recommend commutation sentence 50 years if parole eligibility.
Thank you, ma'am.
Direction.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Joe, I really enjoyed your interview. You were honest, you were forthcoming, and my vote is the same. Community parole eligibility.
Okay, Mr. Mirabella.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's great. It's been a pleasure listening to you. Got an excellent prison record. Got a lot of years left for an 82-year-old man. I think you're in good health. My colleagues, my vote would be the same. Recommend get your sentence 50 years with immediate eligibility.
Mr. Freeman.
No, Mr. Gray, I look at your record and it definitely concerns me. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I kind of feel that maybe over these last 30 years or so, you've changed. You know, a lot of people get tired of prison, and hopefully you are tired, because I'm gonna agree with my colleague and vote 50 years with immediate parole.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Gray, I do concur with my colleagues. My vote is the same.
So on your behalf, we'll make a recommendation to the governor that your sentence be commuted to 50 years and that you be immediately paroled. Good luck to you, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out to the Goddess Queen Tulsa show. Thank you all so much for coming out to the Goddess Queen Tulsa show. That was your Morning Mystery Monday. I want to thank you all for coming out. Once again, enjoy the rest of your day.